Hey guys, what's up? It's Johnny here, and welcome to another episode of The SIC Show. And as always, I'm super pumped to be here, and I'm here with my main man, B. How are you, buddy?
Good, I'm a farmer today.
You feel like farming? This week on the show, we interview Andrew Wisler, epic landscape photographer, farmer, and funny enough, doctor.
And Andrew inspires us with an amazing image from Patagonia, Condor flying through the canyons. And Andrew shows us what he uses to create. He travels with the bare minimum photography gear.
Epic. Let's get into it.
Enjoy.
The SIC Show. Share, inspire, create.com. Share.
All right, Andrew, share something not many people would know about you, buddy.
Well, I think not many people online would know that my full-time day job is that I'm a pediatrician. I do photography part-time, mostly landscape photography and some travel photography. One other thing about me is that my family and I, we live on a farm, and we actually raise goats and chickens. So,
oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome.
In my spare time, I do that. But yeah, so we really like that lifestyle. We live out the country, and it's good for the kids. And so it's been yeah, that's something that probably not many people would know. But
that's awesome. So pediatrician, chicken farmer, photographer.
Goat farmer.
Right.
Chicken and goat farmer photographer. So tell me, are the goats for meat or for milk?
Well, they're supposed to be for meat, but we haven't eaten any of them yet.
And the chickens are obviously great.
Yeah, my daughter named them all, so
that's tough.
Big clear brush on our property, and they're fun to have around. So
awesome, man.
Well, that's really interesting.
Awesome share, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
Epic.
Inspire.
All right, Andrew, share an inspirational image with us.
Okay, so so the image I'm sharing is from Patagonia, and it's actually was taken in Los Glaciares National Park, which is in Argentina, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful location. I think Patagonia is on just about every landscape photographer's bucket list. Places that we'd really like to go. And I've seen some inspiring images from that area, and have some friends that have traveled there a number of times, and so this past November, my wife and I took a trip there, primarily to just to see the area, and also I wanted to kind of scout it out, because it's an area that I thought I want to photograph, and probably want to return to photograph more, just because it's just such a unique area. It's so beautiful. So this particular image, we were there traveling and hiking and just seeing the area. We were in the town near the park for about 5 days, and we had done a long hike a few days before, where I was really just kind of scouting things out, looking for potential places to shoot and to come back in like early morning light. And there was this one meadow that I came upon on our hike that was just a beautiful panorama of the Mount Fitzroy and the glaciers, and just a beautiful spot. And of course, hiking a long day hike like that, I was there like at high noon, and just really hard light. So I said, I'm going to try to come back to this place, at sunrise. And so a couple days later, the weather was looking pretty favorable, and things seemed like they were kind of coming together, and so I made a plan to go back there. In the Southern Hemisphere, in November is very close to the solstice, so sunrise is at like 5:45 in the morning. And it was about a 2-hour hike in from the trailhead, and the trailhead was about a 40-minute car ride from where we were staying. And so
early stuff.
So putting the plan together, that meant like about a 2 a.m. wake up time. We might maybe talk a little bit about there's some talk in the SIC Lounge about passion versus dedication. We might talk a little bit about that afterwards, but that's definitely where some dedication was required to put that plan together. And so, I set out, and things were going pretty well. I hiked in. And one of the beautiful things about that part of the world is that, again, when the days are really long like that, it doesn't ever get totally dark at night. And so, even at 3:30 in the morning, there's enough light that you can hike, even without a flashlight, or I guess maybe a torch, as you would call it, or it was kind of a neat hike. Hiking in, you could just see a little bit of light on the glaciers and things as you're hiking in. And as I was getting close to my spot, the clouds started to roll in. The wind picked up, and I arrived there right on time, about 45 minutes before sunrise, and got all set up, and it was just, sunrise just didn't happen. So, and I think most anybody that's shot any amount of landscape, it happens probably as often as not. Like you get there, and you know what, it just didn't happen that day. Yeah. So, it probably happens more often than those really epic sunrises that you see photos of. So, so I stuck it out, but 15 minutes after sunrise, it wasn't happening. So, light was really flat. And so, that's happened to me before. I wasn't, totally destroyed by it, but I did have to get back to my rendezvous point to get my ride back to town. So, I started on my hike back out, and I was watching the light as I was hiking, and I got to a point about halfway along the trail. There's a lookout point there called the Mirador Laguna Blanco, which is the overlook of the I guess the White Lake, which is the runoff of the White Glacier. And just around that time, things were starting to click. Some nice dappled sunlight coming through the clouds. The clouds were starting to break up, and there was a heavy wind blowing up through the valley. And I said, well, I'll set up here and let's see if I can capture some of this good light. And as I was there, got set up, and took a few images, and I'm waiting for the light to, patterns to get, kind of good. And I just, out of my left field of view, I see this condor just drifting on the wind currents coming up through the valley. And it's, and again, that's probably a point where, again, when we talk about passion versus dedication, and your passion starts to kick in. You start to get this feeling like, man, something's going to happen here that's really special. And he just drifted right into my frame, and I was able to capture an image of him drifting on the wind. So, I had a great hike the rest of the way out, and had a few other nice images. And I guess kind of the whole point of that story for me is, is first of all that, a lot of times things just don't work out. Like, it really is good to plan. And really, you have to plan to be in the right place at the right time. But if you just become blinded just to your plan, then you'll miss out on good things that happen. So
I so totally agree, Andrew, and that's a perfect example. You got out there, and yes, it was disappointing you didn't get the shot, but the image you came away with is absolutely incredible. I just love it. A little V in the gravel into the lake, and I love the green trees framing the bottom of the foreground, and then you've got the glacier running up through these
glacier.
What is that?
Glacier.
Glacier. You got the glacier running up, as a bit of a leading line to this, like, a little bit of dapple light and the peak in the background, and then epic just the top. Oh man, if I had got that shot without the Condor, I would have been like, hell yeah! But then the Condor is like, there's like a highlight on a puffy bit of cloud, and the Condor is sitting right there,
silhouetted.
It's just amazing, mate.
Beautiful, and the Condor is flying into your frame, which I like. It's coming into the point of interest. Well, it is the point of interest, but it's coming right above the lake, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Beautiful image, and that's a great story of being open, being open to things, and not committed to the one one image that you need.
You've got to be adaptable when you're out there, and you just got to keep your eyes open and be ready at all time, because you never know. Like if you hadn't set up at this location, and had a bit of foresight, thinking, oh, the light's changing, I'm going to sit and wait, and then top it off, this awesome Condor comes into the frame. Like it's just it never would have happened if you didn't have that little bit of foresight to see, oh, something's changing here, and look at this beautiful location. I'm going to set up and get ready. So,
Andrew, can I ask you a question? Are condors quite rare to see and photograph
actually in Patagonia they're not that uncommon. So as I understand, condors, they like to nest in high nesting places, and they like to soar high on the currents, and of course Patagonia has no shortage of high places and wind. So they're actually, you see them, anytime the winds are up, you see them out, and so they're just beautiful, just gigantic, majestic birds. Yeah. So, and I think the thing that reminds me of is that, you really have to have a passion to do what you're doing, but you have to plan, and one doesn't really work without the other. And just the more that I do landscape photography, the more that I realize there are you plan, and we all have apps on our phones. We watch the weather every 10 minutes. We're plotting all the moonrise times and sunset times, and but after you do all that planning, still, you get there, and whatever happens. You get good light or you don't, and so it's just got to understand that, like, it's you really have this sense that you're part of. There's something bigger going on than us. Like we're there watching it, and there's something big happening there, and you're not totally in control of it, and there's something bigger going on than us. Like there's really, and that makes the special moments all that more special, because when you're there, something happens. It just just really hits your heart.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure every time you look at that, you get that same feeling. Every time you look at that image that you just showed, it brings back those same feelings you had of the day you're there. And that's why landscape photography is so special to me. You look at an image and you remember that feeling that you had. Because I shoot by feeling, Andrew. That's, if I go out and shoot, and even sometimes there could be good light, and if I'm not feeling it, I won't shoot. I know I've said this many times on the show, but it's, But you know what? The other thing is, too, there's other options. Say you get out there and the light isn't good, okay? So you have a play around and you shoot macro where you can control the light. So there's other options out there for you, and like you did, you said, oh, you know what, I'm just going to head back to this other location, check it out, and all of a sudden it turns on, you get something that's absolutely amazing.
Right. And, and there's a lot of things other than that image that were special about that hike, hiking out there in the dark, and I heard, I think it was some kind of owl or something flying overhead, it's something almost like the baby or something. Just all these, just really rich experiences. And even if I hadn't come away with a single image, I would still have that memory of that. But so the image is just, is just the cherry on top. I mean, it really is.
I think that's what it is. It's the intention is to get the image, but it's actually the journey and the adventure, and actually just enjoying just being out in nature. That's actually that's the benefit of of going for it.
And that's what I love about it. Just getting out there and being out there. If you don't come home with a winner, that's okay. That's okay. You went and you tried, and the experience and the memories.
Just enjoying it. Just enjoying the moment while you're out there.
Awesome, man.
Awesome. Thank you. It's a very inspirational image. I love it.
Thanks, mate.
I really appreciate it.
Create.
All right, Andrew, teach us something. Show us what you create with, buddy.
Okay. Well, I was just going to share something about just kind of the method of creation. So, I know a lot of people have been shooting with, with the Sony, the A7R, with these mirrorless bodies. Although I'm kind of at the point, like, where in my shooting where I'm really trying to pay less attention to equipment and more attention to just being out there and just having the right mindset to get an image. But especially on this trip, it really convinced me that, like, there's a lot of places that if you really want to be there in good light and get out there, you really need to be able to hike a long ways out and And I'm, one of the things I'm going to be doing this year is working on, building up to doing some backpacking, so I can get to those remote places and be there for the good light. And so, I mean, this camera is going to be key to that, because you need to, you don't want to be carrying a lot of heavy equipment, hiking miles and miles. And so I've been really trying to trim down my kit and get it to a point where I can make really good images and still be able to get where I need to go. And so I think it's not so much about this specific camera, but it's more about just understanding kind of what it takes to make an image, and the equipment is just a tool to get there. So a lot of times you need to you need to trim down your gear so that you can get where you need to go or do the things that you need to do. And so this is going to help me do that. But it's just it's one of the main takeaways I had after this trip, being down there, is that you got to just really kind of just restructure the whole way that you do things so that you can get where you need to be to do what you need to do.
So Andrew, what is your bare essentials when it comes to the gear that you need to take? Can you give it to us? What
yeah. So I mean, in this past trip, mostly I used. I'm kind of between systems right now. So I was shooting Canon before, and I have a Canon 5D Mark III, which I took on the trip, and I think I took it out one day to shoot some handheld stuff, and everything else was with the Sony. So, but I'm using Canon lenses on a Metabones adapter now. Right. So, and really almost everything I shot was with three lenses. So, I have the 17-40. Haven't upgraded to the 16 to 35 f4 yet, but again, I'm still not sure if I'm going to stick with Sony or not. But and I have a 70-200 f4 Canon lens. That I made a lot of my my panoramas with, and I would say probably 90% of my images are taken with those two lenses. I generally don't carry a normal range lens. I don't find that for landscape that I need it that much. I'm either shooting wide or I'm shooting long. And then I've used a little bit of 24 tilt shift, which is a fantastic lens for stitching panos, and I'm really into making big images. And you start stitching these 36 megapixel files, Johnny. You probably have experienced that. You get some monster files.
The max speeds up, too, man.
I shot a pano when we were at Torres del Paine, and it was it's like 180 megapixels.
It's crazy.
Epic, man.
It was 7 foot wide at 300 DPI, but it was a bear to process. But you really don't need a lot of gear to do landscape photography. I mean,
and what else? A tripod,
some filters. Yeah. What were you saying?
So what else? So you get a tripod and some filters, maybe?
Yeah. So I've got an Enduro. I have an Enduro carbon fiber tripod, the CT14. It's pretty lightweight, small. It does everything I need it to do. And the filter I use the most really is I use a Format High Tech 100 millimeter circular polarizer, and that's used on almost any image that I take during the daytime. So I use the polarizer quite a bit. So
awesome, good. And is there quite a difference between weight since you've got rid of your Canon body? I mean, you're still using the big lenses, right? Is there much?
Yeah. I mean, I think there is a big difference. I mean, just this mirrorless body is really is pretty light. And you're right. I would trim down quite a bit if I would switch over to using the dedicated lenses. But there is definitely a difference in weight. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I mean that's one thing I always when I ever do multi-days, which I haven't done for a little while, but knowing what gear to take, and I've still got my heavy DSLR lenses and bodies, and Andrew, and when you're like me, you got to carry a lot of food, bro. So it's like, do I carry lots of food or do I carry this other lens? And often I'll go with the food.
No nuts and berries. No nuts and berries for you, I guess.
Huh? Yeah, I know, man. I could do with a bit of nuts and berries, Trek. That'd be good. Epic, man. Oh,
thanks.
Awesome,
Andrew. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. When people want to find out about you, where should they go to find your photography?
Well, I'm in a lot of the usual places. So I have a profile over on Google+. It's Andrew Wisler. And on Facebook, I just started a new photography page on Facebook, Andrew Wisler Photography. I'm on Instagram, Andrew_Wisler. And I have a gallery page on SmugMug. It's at oneinthetin.com. It's all one word. And then of course you can find me hanging out over at the SIC Lounge.
Awesome, man.
Chatting and sharing some photo love.
That's it, man. Sharing the photo love. I love that, bro. Awesome, man. And guys, all those links, of course, will be in the show notes. And check out Andrew's stuff. He's not only is he a great photographer, he's a great guy. Yeah. It's been a pleasure having you on, mate. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, buddy.
Great. Thanks.
Man, love Andrew.
What an epic guy. Such a nice fella and some awesome work. That image from Patagonia, just absolutely amazing, mate. Awesome.
The Condor flying in from the left. Just,
and I want
to go there, man. That's got to be on my bucket list.
Oh, man, I so want to go there. We're going to have a SIC show from there one day, man.
Definitely.
Condors flying around and just kicking back in the awesome light. But I just love the story, the fact that he went to a location, it didn't work out, but he kept his eyes open and didn't get frustrated, and he saw another amazing opportunity on the way back out. And that happens so many times. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me.
Be open.
So, be open, always.
Always
epic.
Open. And the farmer? The farmer? So hold on, I'm going to ask you this question.
Let's break this down, man.
That's, what does he farm?
Goats.
Okay. What's a baby goat called?
A kid.
And he's a doctor of?
Kids. But he also got chickens. He's also got chickens. Yeah, awesome. What a combination, hey? The doctor, landscape photographer, farmer.
I know. That's cool.
Cool. He's such an awesome guy.
He is nice.
Cool.
And just so you guys know, Andrew is one of the contributors in the SIC Lounge in our photography community. And he actually posted that image of Patagonia. And it got us interested, so we contacted him and found out if he wanted to be on the show. And he did.
It was awesome.
He's actually traveling right now with his family.
Yeah, he's in Florida.
That's
Florida!
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was good. And he's been awesome in the community, and I'm just loving it there, mate. Hanging out in the lounge with all the peeps, positive vibe, loving it, learning photography.
Awesome.
It's wicked.
Good. And you know what I like? Also the bare minimum gear that Andrew talks about when he's traveling, you know. Getting rid of his big Canon camera, and he's still got the lenses though, and he's got the little adjustment thingy. What is it called? Bare bones? No?
The bare bones, adapter.
Yeah,
for his Canon to Sony. Yeah, I mean, actually, guys, to be honest with you, when I go even just a day trip, I've got to leave my 70 to 200 2.8 at work at home because I need to fit. Well, I need to fit more food in.
I thought you more water, right?
Less lenses, more water and food.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. So
that's it. Oh, epic, man! It's been another great show.
Yep.
It was awesome to have you on, Andrew. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Andrew.
Appreciate it, bro.
And guys, don't forget to join us in the lounge. Other people like Andrew, we in there every day.
Yep. Check out this link, man. Share, Inspire, Create /lounge. Check it out.
Awesome.
Wicked. Have a great week.
Awesome, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
To find out more, go to shareinspirecreate.com.